Yeah, the cocktails haven't hit yet. To answer Nick there. Okay.
Let's play guess what's in the teacup.
So we're live on Twitter. That's a good start. And that's where everyone else is. So.
Oh, I'm afraid it is tea.
YouTube.
It is Coffeehouse after all, so I said I'd go with tea as its decaf.
Yeah, but it's based on the French salon, so you can have everything from tea to absinthe.
I'll wait till 8 o'clock for that.
Right. So that's it. We have YouTube, LinkedIn, and Periscope, which is still around for those who are wondering. Welcome to the last in this part of the series of the Talking About BeerCon2. So we've got our last set of speakers, and we've got a repeat appearance from one who was so popular last time that there was clamour to bring him back. So you'll get to answer the same questions again for everyone who missed it last time. We've been running these now for a month, and it only feels like a lot longer. Last one, for those who don't know, BeerCon2 was a Rise of the Rookies event put on by the beer farmers, where the basic rule was you're not allowed to speak if you've spoken at another event. There was one exception, so it was if you have spoken at another event before you applied. There was one person who spoke between applying and the actual event, but that was allowed. And to be honest, the talks at the event, the presentations at BeerCon2 were better than the vast majority of ones I've seen at professional events from professional speakers. So along with that, there was I'd say, fairly supportive community, quite enthusiastic, and the energy kept going. And it just seemed like it would be a good idea to get the speakers in, ask them some questions about the experience, see how everyone's doing, and keep it going. So first of all, let's start with one, because we don't know who you are. If you can just introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Juan. I used to work as a systems administrator, and I did a talk about GDPR, which was everyone's favorite topic.
Okay, and Gur.
I'm Jer. I'm formerly an insurance fraud investigator up until February this year. Yeah, just kind of stumbled into InfoSec via some of the social media campaigns that have been going on. And that's really me.
And Shuruk?
I'm basically a petroleum engineer, and I switched my fields to InfoSec, and I'm pursuing my master's in InfoSec and working as a junior pen tester at a private firm locally.
Brilliant. And for all of those watching at home and the live studio audience, if you have any questions you'd like to throw at our panelists, just drop them into the chat, the Q&A, the LinkedIn feed, the YouTube feed, the Twitter feed. Just ask them and I'll try and pick them up and pass them on. So nice and simple. And let's kick off, and we will go in reverse order this time. Shuruk, how did you actually end up getting roped in or volunteering, just getting involved with the event?
Basically, I followed Scott because I had a thing into OSINT, and then I eventually followed the beer farmers, and then I saw them putting up the BeerCon2 Rise of the Rookie. I said, why not give it a try? And then I came to participate in the event.
Thank you. And Joe?
I've been toying with the idea of doing something to kind of share the knowledge that I had with people who were talking about all their data breaches, but everyone always kind of only left it at that. And I thought, well, here's a chance. Quite friendly with Scott, and seeing the beer farmers were doing something to help people out, and they're always so good to help people if they ask for help. And I thought, you know what, I'll throw my name in there. They seem happy to take an outsider like myself and to do a talk. So I thought, well, why not? I'll put something in. It'll be good practice.
And one, I would ask you the same question, but you answered it last time. So I'm going to throw a different one at you, and it's going to be a harder one. There was a huge range of people speaking, and there were people who definitely were not classical security people. I'd say the majority were not classically information or cybersecurity. What were your thoughts on that diversity of your peers, essentially? Because you were much more embedded in that than I was. So I'm just interested in what you thought of it.
I think this diversity shows that information security has grown to be more than just digital products. And there's way too much stuff that is thrown into IT, which might not be IT related. But because of the way, we're obviously going through a major digital age. Obviously, everything that comes to security goes then through IT security because it's easier to have one person responsible for everything than just one. And this diversity shows that no matter where you are, there's obviously something for you within the field.
Thank you. And Joe, we'll go to you next just to keep you all on your toes. I can guess the answer to this, but how did you choose your topic? Why did you choose your topic? And was it something that you thought, I want to talk about because I've got something important to say, or people will be interested? What was the reasoning behind that topic?
It was kind of what I've said already. I found that a lot of people were spending a lot of time on social media complaining about data breaches without ever actually thinking about the kind of the follow-up beyond it. In my previous role, I got to speak to quite a lot of victims of people who were kind of the aftermath of the data breaches. People complain about, oh, BA, you've had a data breach, and all those big companies that have Experian and the likes, but no one ever thinks about the actual victims. They say, oh, people's data's out there. I got to see what happened to that data getting used and people getting posts and things through that was unexpected and quite stressful for them. No one ever talked about that from what I saw. Everyone just complained about the fact that someone's security has been taken seriously, and thought, no, we need to kind of broaden people out. And because I had several years of that, I worked for almost 8 years looking at insurance fraud, and it was application fraud I looked at. So it wasn't the kind of cars crashing together. It was people pretending to be James Bohr, setting up insurance policies in his name. So it's just to kind of share that element of thing, and hopefully a couple of people managed to take something from it to go, right, I've got a family member who's just looking for insurance for the first time. Maybe I've seen that talk Jared did. Maybe I'll just have a wee quick word and see if I can help them and direct them in the right, direction, as opposed to finding out a couple of weeks later they've got 6 points in their driving license and are in a bit of trouble when they could have stepped in and helped.
And Sharuk?
When I started out in InfoSec, I started with web app pen testing and bug hunting. And then I moved towards enterprise security and Active Directory pen testing. And I honestly very enjoyed Active Directory pen testing. So I thought, why not share with the world what I've learned? It will eventually help me improve my concepts as well.
Thank you. And one different question for you again. So for your next talk, will it be on the same topic? Will it be the same subject? Will there be a shift to something else?
So I have submitted a CFP in the meantime. I had hoped to be able to do some wargaming, similar to what Liz Welton has done with aviation security. But perhaps it's more interesting to do something more storytelling. So showing some risks and why people might try to take some easy routes out, and the consequences of taking these routes.
Thank you. Right. Next one, let's go back to the original order. One, you've spoken about this. You've now had a week to think after you answered this last time. How was the whole experience? Do any bits of it stand out for you?
I'd say something that stands out was the CFP process. Definitely, this was something that was very straightforward. It was just send us an email, tell us what you want to talk about, and tell us who you are. And that was it. There was no tell us what you're going to talk about in detail. They just wanted to know, hey, you're somebody new, you have something you want to talk about. I think that definitely sets BeerCon2 apart from other conferences who might be more intrusive.
Good answer. Jer, how was the whole experience from the application through to actually doing your talk? I'll ask about coming off stage later, but up to that point.
It was quite easy. Saw the tweet go out to say about the announcement. I thought, right, I'll quickly throw something in, and put an application in, and then kind of over the course of a couple of weeks in the build up to it, just kind of getting it written and getting the support from everyone, the other speakers and the mentors and that. It seemed far too easy from the way people talk about the way it is at conferences. It was just coming across as just very gentle. It was everyone was helping each other. There was no stress to it at all. Like, a lot of people were nervous kind of getting ready for their talks and things like that, but we were all there helping each other, and I think it was just quite a unique environment from the sounds of it that's been created, that everyone's still talking to each other and helping each other out, and it was quite painless, to be honest, in the end.
And Sharuk?
Well, yeah, it was really awesome for me to speak at a conference, and as Juan said, the CFP part was really very awesome, because I asked Scott on LinkedIn that what do I have to submit? Do I have to give it a whole abstract of my presentation? Or what? He said, no, man, just only the topic what you're going to speak at. And then there's the thing that even in the Slack channel, in the mentors channel, none of the beer farmers were present, right? And they went a whole lot ahead to arrange all these amazing mentors for us. I mean, who does that? So amazing experience, amazing. I literally don't have enough words to describe what I'm feeling right now.
Okay, right. So, starting with Sharuk again this time, you're in the green room, about to go on stage. You've got not nerves, you've got excitement. How was that when you actually went on and started delivering the talk?
Actually, I was very excited as well as very nervous, because of the fact that I had to give a live demo, and the recording was a little bit, I mean, it was not complete recorded. So I had this thing in my mind, what if everything goes wrong? But when I started going with the presentation, I flowed with it, and eventually everything went well.
Okay, and Jer?
It was a bit surreal because obviously I was in the background for the day and a bit before my talk, because it was mid-morning on Friday. But yeah, it was a bit surreal to go from seeing everyone else on the screens to going, oh, it's my turn. There's my face, and going on. But yeah, it was quite exciting. It wasn't as nerve-wracking as I was expecting it to be, because it just felt so prepared from all the help we've had before, that we knew that everyone was there to see us, was rooting for you to go well. So it helped you relax in the first. I think all of us had it. All of us have said it, that the first 30 seconds you're nervous, and then suddenly you're like, no, I got this, and then you just you plowed on with the talk, and it was good. And absolute hats off to Sharuk for his live demo.
And just for those who don't know, Jer was one of the people who spent pretty much the whole time, except when he was talking, in the green room, just welcoming speakers, prepping people, calming people down. So that's an example of really how speakers did form this community and just got involved and did things and supported one another. Juan, same question to you.
So obviously you get into the greeting room with the two mentors and the two goons, and then you get booted off into a room with the beer farmers. The beer farmers come the game. They say, all right, you're gonna be talking to so and so, and when there's 10 minutes left, Scott's gonna put up the 10-minute timer. Except that was a bit later on, I think. That was my impression. And when the moment you go there, they really say, you're just talking to a bunch of mates, and that really, really helped to like calm down the nerves. You're thinking, you're not talking to 100 people, just talking to 4 guys at the pub, well, maybe the coffee room at 10 in the morning. And, just telling, in my case, it was telling Sean, my stories with GDPR.
Mute button. Thank you. Right. New question round. So, starting with Sharuk, what would you like to ask your other 2 speakers?
I would like to ask Juan first that GDPR is really a very boring topic. I mean, I'm sorry, but it really is. But how did you go on making it so interesting?
I think, do I answer or wait for Jer's question?
You answer.
All right. So I was directly affected by GDPR in my line of work. And I realized that it's something that's definitely, if you look at DPO positions, people are looking for lawyers, not for IT people. And yet the people who are implementing the controls and who are responsible for these controls are IT. And so being able to talk about, my experience, being able to put forward, how things are working or not working for technical people coming from a technical perspective, I think is what helps us link together, as you say, make it interesting. It's not just 1,000 pages of legal text.
Thank you. And
For
question for Jill.
yeah, same thing. I mean, I really get bored when it's all talk and not something technical and practical. So the fact that you both made it so interesting. So how do you guys do it? I mean, if I would have been in your place, I know I would have fucked up.
From the man who did the live demo, I don't think so in the slightest. No, I tried to relate it to people. I think that was always the thing. I used a lot of names. I gave people identities. It wasn't just person A as my examples. It was, I gave them names. I used Mike as my, as my identity for a victim. I used names of people that we know, like the likes of Sean and Alan and that, and people around the industry that, people who would be attending BeerCon would recognize the names so that it would stick in their minds. To be able to kind of go from there. And if you can make a story like that relatable to someone, it resonates a lot more, and they're more likely to remember it, as opposed to, what did he say about person A and B? But it was like, oh no, he was making fun of so-and-so for, this happening to them. And then that kind of sticks a little bit better for them.
Okay, right. Jer, question for your 2 colleagues, peers.
Shrig, you pulled off a live demo. Everyone's always talked about it. What advice would you give to someone who's toying with the idea of doing a live demo recorded? Like, how often did you practice beforehand that you just absolutely knocked it out of the park?
I mean, practice at least twice before giving a presentation, before going live, because and secondly, take note of what commands you're going to type, because nervousness makes you forget things. So it would be really embarrassing if you forget. So I had my script ready. I had my commands in a sticky note on the side of my screen. So because I forgot commands, I even mentioned in my talk that I forgot this command. Let me check it back in my presentation, in my notes. So first advice, keep your commands at a notes, keep your notes ready. And the second one, make sure you have a recording, because everything doesn't go well every time.
And one, with GDPR being quite a difficult topic for everyone to get their minds around, and obviously you've done a lot to break down that stigma. Would you think that you'd keep on that theme of things and start releasing a bit more information about to keep people right with the up-to-date GDPR releases and that, so that, because it can be a bit dry when you're looking at things from information commissioners and that, but just kind of breaking things down and making things easier and for people, so you can continue down that route?
So I noticed recently that some companies have got their data protection strategies completely wrong. I actually had a company recently that used my data completely against what I had specified they were allowed to use it for, and obviously got some unsolicited marketing. I opted out of it, and 1 week later, I am getting their newsletter again. So maybe I'll go around maybe strategies for people to handle this type of situations. I'm currently using one solution, but I'm not particularly happy with it. So maybe look to building something else.
Thank you. And finally, one question for your other speakers.
All right. So as part of the run-up, we were told that push-ups may be a solution to help calm the nerves. Now, I tried it. It didn't really work. But what did you do that helped?
You going first or should I?
On you go.
I will just point out this is being recorded.
Oh, I honestly didn't do any kind of push-ups or anything like that. But there was who mentioned? I guess Sam mentioned that go pee before you're giving a talk. So yeah, I really did that. And secondly, I talked to the mentors.
I did 5 push-ups. I decided I ticked off the box after the mentors obviously gave their time and they had loads of tips. I tried to tick off as many of them as I could. So I had my glass of water, I'd gone to the bathroom. I decided, you know what, it'll be good fun to just go, yeah, you know what, I've done my 5 push-ups before when which came from Claire. And it was just this settling the nerves. And then just before he went in, Dave, he was giving me some mentoring as well, popped in out of his work meeting to go, wanted to wish you luck, good luck. And then that was me, like just nipping in, and that helped a lot as well, just to kind of smooth off the nerves going in. But to be honest, I was so excited to get started. It was good, but it was a nice way to kind of go, oh, that's cool. And then I was into the room with the speakers. But yeah, it was well, I recommend the push-ups. Push-ups were right. It was good fun, just even to make you smile, because that kind of gave you that buzz of haha.
Good. Right. So we've got the mentors session next week, which will be hosted by one of the speakers rather than me, because I need a break. But is there a question, and this is obviously for each of you, is there a question you'd like to see the mentors asked? Let's go alphabetical. So, Joe.
Oh, I would certainly like to know if the mentors would continue with their kind of mentoring workshop. Would they recommend it to other conferences? That, you know, would they put themselves forward at another conference to say, I'll do mentoring for you? Because a lot of the mentors are speakers in their own right. But how much of a buzz do the mentors get from being a mentor for something like this? And obviously, would it be something that they'd feel quite encouraged to doing again on a regular basis?
Just taking notes to help the host out next time.
Host next week.
One.
So I'd given a question last week, but something else that is interesting is to see how BeerCon impacted them as speakers. So potential future conferences or new topics that they want to explore.
Thank you. And Shuruk?
Yeah, the same that how was the whole entire experience for the mentors? I mean, we were all rookies, so how annoyed the mentors were with us by constant pinging.
Okay, thank you. All right, now that I've cheated for the next one, obviously you've had what so far, according to every single speaker, was an incredibly positive experience. Some of you are already going on and arranging your next talk. Do you think you would go on and try to do a live on stage talk, or a few more online ones, or have you decided it was great but I don't want to do it again? What are the plans next? Let's start with Shuruk.
I think I'm not ready for going on stage. So yeah, I might do a few online and virtual ones before going on stage.
And Joe?
Yeah, I would definitely quite happy to do another virtual one. Live on stage, yeah, you know what? It's definitely BeerCon has definitely given me the confidence to go, you know what? The idea of speaking at a conference, if you'd asked me back in July, I'd have gone, nah, I'll just sit back and watch. It's fine. But you know what? Having seen, you know, how it would be sites Newcastle and then on to BeerCon2, it was quite eye opening as to like it's actually quite straightforward to do. There's nothing really to be afraid of. And I would like to think that there's not too much to be afraid of doing a live talk. I'm sure plenty can go wrong and will go wrong from the horror stories we've heard shared. But you know what, I would give it a go. We'll certainly wouldn't shy away as I would have a couple of months ago. But plans for now are continue doing a little bit of research on some of the things I was talking about, hunting down some of the brokers that I'd spoken about, and share that information with the authorities, and maybe develop on a follow-on talk as well, maybe.
And one?
So from my line of work, I've had to provide a fair amount of live training to users. So live stage conference would definitely not be a deal breaker for me. Obviously, I would not be starting off with something with 500 people live audience where you have the people who know the topic better than myself. But certainly being able to provide insights to, you know, similar audiences, live stage definitely open to that.
Okay, and we've had a few comments coming in from YouTube. So one is, why isn't the guy at the bottom right? That would be Sharuk speaking. Then there's a psych, he's my cousin and I love him. So I'm assuming you know who that's from. I hope.
Let me check who that is.
But then a much more important question. So same person, but there wasn't any beer at BeerCon. I think all that shows is that they obviously weren't backstage, but there wasn't beer, there wasn't a big drinking thing around it, which is unusual for conferences from my own experiences. There is usually quite a strong drinking culture, and there was also, of course, InfoSec happy hour, but it seemed to be a much more moderate thing for the actual conference, all of the approach to it. Really, just what are your thoughts on the social surround of it? Because I know you've all been, or you've probably all been involved in some way in InfoSec happy hour. You've been along to it, you know how that gets. Do you think there's a difference in the culture, and do you think there's a reason why, and what is that reason? So let's start with Joe.
I think there definitely is a difference. There was no really even mention of drinking too much, even in the Slack for BeerCon. You know, I think the idea of BeerCon probably did make people who were seeing it from the outside for the first time just thought, right, what are they going to be talking about? It's just going to be, everything's going to be alcohol related. All the examples are going to be alcohol related. And it's like, well, no, I think everyone was just quite excited. And I don't think anyone was kind of talking, barely anyone even joked about drinks for nerves. It was just, you know, everyone was just kind of going, no, you've got this, you know, everyone's helping gene each other along. There's no one's falling out. No, there's no, you know, there's no angriness or anything like that. Every time someone made a suggestion, everyone knew. It's like, actually, they want me to do well. The suggestion's well melt. There was no meltdowns or anything like that anyone seemed to be having that I saw. And it was good. There's definitely something that was quite nice, because you do see people complaining all the time about InfoSec and social media being quite aggressive, and everyone wants to put someone down to try and level themselves up. Whereas I think BeerCon definitely showed you could get a lot of rookies together who were kind of coming in for the first time, and they took their first steps together as opposed to running ahead of someone else. They just lifted each other up, and it was great. It definitely was quite positive, and everyone's still chatting away. The Slack is still going. The odd comment comes in every now and then. You're just kind of thinking, like, it's been over a month, and everyone to each other. We're all, you know, we're chatting at Coffeehouse, or, you know, everyone's interacting a lot on Twitter and things like that. And so it's been quite nice for that mentality not to have just been a weekend kind of thing, and then everyone's away. It's friendships have been made, and people are getting along, and people are working together, and it's been exciting. More to come.
Thank you. Sharuk?
Yeah, from BeerCon2 has really been a nice experience. I mean, I hadn't known this many people before BeerCon2, and now I've made some really incredible friends just by being part of BeerCon2. So it was really very nice. And like Ger said, that I've seen many people here in our local community as well that they're putting down people and not appreciating how the rookies are growing and progressing. So this was really something very nice to give rookies and newbies a chance to come forward.
Thank you. And one?
So obviously, because it was a virtual conference, there was a big, interest to go watch the live talks and obviously communicate with the people about what's going on. And again, because the talks weren't just limited to red teaming, blue teaming, digital forensics, because the topics were so wide, it really showed that, oh my God, this is actually really interesting. And people got to see topics that perhaps they wouldn't have been interested in visiting at other larger conferences. Again, single track. Every talk that I was able to catch live was absolutely amazing. The others I was able to catch up later, the same. And, because there were so many topics being brought up, people were just like, oh, this is something I don't really know that much about. This is new to me. And I think that definitely helped to keep people perhaps away from this LobbyCon state of mind.
I think because everyone was helping each other so much, you were almost invested in everyone else's talks as well. That you were kind of going, "No, I've seen them practice that. I want to, go see the real deal when it's through and live." And it was quite good that way.
We have had another question about Curvo roasting being a breach of privacy, which I think is kind of the point of it, isn't it? It's a security talk about Curvo roasting and how it's a dangerous breach of privacy.
Can you repeat?
There was a question on, isn't Curvo roasting a breach of privacy? And as far as I was aware, that was kind of the point of the talk, that it is an attack.
Yeah. So basically, curb roasting, as the questions asked, it is a breach of privacy. But yes, it can be dangerous and it can be misused. So my point of giving a talk on curb roasting was to demonstrate the threat that Kerberos authentication poses.
Yeah, thank you. And there is another question aimed at Sharuk. So what advantages, actually, this can be for everyone, what advantages do you feel live demos have over pre-recorded ones?
I mean, when you're doing a live demo, you're interacting more with the audience. I mean, if you're giving a recorded session, this actually David mentioned this to me, that you're either sitting and or doing a voiceover, which is not necessarily as interactive as going hands-on live. So when you're doing a live demo, you're basically interacting more with the audience and making it more interesting.
Thank you. And one, live demos versus pre-recorded?
So, something similar, for example, if we look at Liz Welton, she does her polls on Twitter before the speech and then includes this directly into the slides. It's obviously not the same as a live demo as you were doing, but again, it's means that she doesn't really get to make her slides 2 weeks in advance, and is having to get these done, relatively late with regards to the talk. Obviously, the main advantage is that you're able to get, as you said, direct inputs from the audience. Obviously, in our case, our audience was the beer farmers. We were not really talking with the people watching. But if you're doing this in front of a live stage, you can get, direct voting. What would people like to see? And I think that definitely lets them decide their own, choose your own adventure, as it were.
Thank you. And Jer?
I think I think Mark's honest summed it up. It's edge of the seat stuff. When he was saying in the chat, like people do kind of sit up and go, whoa, whoa, it's a live demo. But I think that kind of keeps the adrenaline going when like as a speaker to go right. How confident I am that we're gonna pull this off. It kind of shows how well you're confident in your skills to go right. This is a further test of never mind doing a talk for the first time. Let's go and do a live demo as well, and just flex like that, which was quite cool to watch for the people that did it. But yeah, it's a live demo is definitely something that people will sit up and go, ooh, and it'll definitely be something people will take away from a talk as well. It's like that's the one with the live demo where they did this, that, and the other, and they were only talking for 25 minutes, but suddenly they've managed to like complete something that you wouldn't have necessarily thought could be done in that space of time at all.
Thank you. Right, so moving on from that and looking towards the future a bit, obviously we've spoken about each of you are interested in doing more talks, but other next steps, has BeerCon made a difference in general path forward? Has it even just made you rethink things? Have any opportunities come out? What's coming next? And has the event had any influence on that? Let's start with one.
So following my talk, I was able to get in contact with Privacat. So she contacted me on Twitter, made some comments about my talk. We were discussing the impacts of GDPR in the UK with your favorite trick question, British company and and European data center. And so, this led to being able to discover other situations, far more interesting cases, and this actually led to the second CFP. So definitely big impact there, and obviously clear opportunity of learning, meeting people in the field.
Thank you. And Sharuk?
Well, yeah. After BeerCon2, my Twitter followers increased from about 80 to around 210 and 212. So, a sudden boost up. And but honestly, I have now one of our fellow speakers, Joshua. He contacted us on Slack and said, "There's a lead bucket hat talk going on if you're interested." So my plans are to speak there. And honestly, it couldn't have happened without BeerCon2.
And Joe?
Yeah, it's spurred me on to look a bit further to developing what I was kind of talking about a bit more, because it toyed it since finishing up working back at towards the start of the year, that I've kind of been humming and hawing. It's something on a list of that needs to get my finger out and actually do that. But because I went in and did BeerCon, it kind of gave me the push of this can be done and this can be pushed forward, and kind of like Sharuk, Twitter followers went up, so you're kind of getting a lot more interaction with people as well, and chatting a bit more, and that's been quite nice as well, especially with lockdown, as we're kind of going further into it and you're not allowed to talk to as many people. It's actually been quite nice. The BeerCon's given you more people to talk to, and because it's kind of started virtually, I think it's helped a lot as well, that you've not just kind of exchanged details physically with someone and then you don't talk to them for 6 months, because everything has just continually been virtual the whole time. I think it's meant that a lot of links that were made were stronger for it, because you just continue on the same line of communication, as opposed to it's kind of been broken across different methods. James for the
James is frozen.
pose. James is away, party time. Everyone fill the chat with your favorite cocktail. He's probably just cocktailing it.
Okay.
Right, it's all yours, one.
I've been made the host. Do we want to maybe get Scott involved to ask some more questions?
Well, you're the host now. I think you should ask the questions. Remember them from last week?
All right. So, well, this is the Security Coffeehouse. So, favorite coffee or tea?
Oh, double espresso all the time for me, especially before running. So it gets you going.
Shahrukh?
Simple tea with 2 teaspoons of sugar.
All right. Oops, sorry. I added the wrong person. Oh, what the hell?
Hang on, folks, we're having some technical difficulties.
Right. So Scott is there. And we have a question from Chris Bohr. Would the speakers host a session like a workshop as well as speak at one? Jer?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's everyone's kind of spoken about, if they haven't checked in previous weeks before, the mentors have been insanely humble about the efforts they've actually put in over BeerCon. Like, there was 29 speakers, and it was incredible just how many people were involved, and they just took a step back, and they were there to listen to help us all out. And they put in, and it was quite inspiring for how much they've helped, along with the support from the beer farmers and the mentors. Like, I think it flowed quite well, and they worked so hard to kind of keep it going with keeping Zoom rooms open for people and passing hosts from person to person so that the Zoom rooms could keep going, so people could get all their practice done. And it definitely was a case of, no, you know what, I think a good few people, speakers from BeerCon, have signed up to be helpers at other conferences because they've had such a good experience here. They're kind of going, right, let's get stuck in. So if at any point someone wanted help from me to go, oh, could you give me a hand with this? Would you mind even just listening to my slides? I think there isn't a single BeerCon speaker who wouldn't say, of course, fire me over a link. I'll be ready when you are, and we'll help each other out. And we'll work through it together, because that's the mentality BeerCon had. Of, we were all in it together. We were all at the same point. We were all rookies together, so everyone helped each other out, and that'd be a great thing to pay forward, for the amount of help and effort that the mentors put into us. We can pass it on. We can multiply it massively from the 5 or so of them that, we've got 30 people who could do exactly the same job for others.
I'm just going to say mine has completely died, so I'm going to try and fix that, and you can share host between you. You are now off streaming because my internet is dead, so you've just got the audience there. I'm sure one of you has been set as host. Feel free to promote people to panelists and just have a general discussion or keep talking while I fix some minor technical issues, and I'll be back as soon as I can.
Cool.
So I'd say same question for Shahrukh.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to pass on what the mentors had had taught us to newcomers, because I mean, it's all about giving back to the community. And there's if you're keeping it all to yourself, I mean, then no one can really grow, right? You have to help each other's grow along with you. So definitely, I would love for to pass on whatever help anyone might need.
And I think we have a question for Scott. Is providing a forum for novice speakers really vital in other fields too?
I would say so. So one of the things that we noticed about BeerCon2, specifically about the rookies, quote unquote, was it was really risky giving 29 unknown people full control over a Twitch account for 2 days that's going to be recorded, and we put a lot of work into it. And then what we got out was far blew away our expectations. And it's not that we thought that you guys were going to do badly or anything, or it's going to go shit. It was just more like everybody was an unknown commodity, which is kind of nice because it means that you've not been cycling the same talk for the last 5 years like I do. Like I do that genuinely. I'll cycle the same talk, add a little bit in. So you've probably heard me speak about roughly 3 or 4 similar things. We were getting people just coming at it from a totally different point of view, or James Birdseye, for example, giving us insight into healthcare. We've got Gerard giving us insight into the actual impact of a data breach. We've got everybody from everywhere kind of going, hey, this is my experience of it and this is what it means. So yeah, I think that applies to any industry, not just infosec, not just tech.
Jer, obviously you come from a different field. What are your thoughts?
Oh, it's definitely an important thing to pull in novice speakers in any field. It definitely livens things up. As Scott says, you get a lot of people who go out there and they'll probably give the same talk 20 times in 20 different locations, pretty much, and then they'll move on to another talk for the following year season, we'll say. Whereas if you get someone like ourselves who've just been rookies going in doing the first talk, it's something you're guaranteed to find that there's a passion there that this is something someone has shown to spoke about, and they may speak about it just the once or twice, but it'll be early. I think that possibly what Chris Boer means about his early career researchers in the Q&A of someone that's early in, but it's definitely something that'll shake things up, because I think you'll end up with the same people who go to the same conferences giving the same talks, and everyone's bored at the conferences. Whereas if you get a new face in with a slightly different view, especially a rookie's view, because they'll see things differently to the way someone who's been doing the same job for 10, 15 years. So a rookie will come in and, they might be a rookie who's come in from a different industry before. They might have just come straight from uni or school. And they will have a different view. Everyone will have a different view, but they won't be tainted by any bias they've gathered over a couple of years. So it's definitely something that's needed across the fields. It would have been quite interesting to see something like that in my own field that I was in before, where they tend to lock a lot of things down and no one wants to talk to each other about things a lot of the times.
And Shahrukh, your thoughts?
Yeah, same. We have to give chance to the rookies to speak every time, because as it's really, I think, a very famous saying that the rookies are the building blocks of the future. So we have to give them a chance to come forward, and no matter if they present on the same topic that has been presented a million times before, everyone has a different set of thinking, has a different mindset, and delivers something in his own unique way. So there's definitely something unique to learn in every talk, regardless of the topic that it has been presented a million times before.
And Shahrukh, quick question. What would you tell your pre-BeerCon2 self about the talking experience?
Just grab the opportunity and go for it. Nerves, it doesn't really matter when you have the knowledge, and when you know something, when you're confident about it. So just grab an opportunity and go for it.
And Jer?
That enjoy the experience and don't stress about anything. Not that it was particularly stressful at all at any point, but it was definitely something of, what, you've got this in the bag like everyone else. It'll be absolutely fine. Nothing to worry about.
And Scott, obviously you've hosted or were a part of BeerCon1. Maybe what would you tell yourself and the beer farmers in the coming up to BeerCon2 about the experience?
It will be nothing like you expect at all. Things will just work out totally differently. So for anyone that's not aware, I wasn't a beer farmer when BeerCon1 happened. So I was just a person that spoke. I turned up maybe for my slot and maybe a little bit before. I was listening to it throughout the day, but I turned up in the Zoom 20 minutes or 30 minutes before my slot, gave my thing, said my piece, left. That was it. It was all very... It was a good conference. It was a good cause. Everybody came on. It was like interviews rather than actually talks. But we were not prepared. What we thought we were going to get and what we got were two very different things with BeerCon2. We thought it was going to be a good opportunity for people. We never realized the amount of positivity, the amount of people that were willing to, like the mentors, people that were just willing to go, hey, I'm just going to donate 4 weeks of my life to help all these people for nothing. And we're like, wow, we didn't expect that. We didn't expect the positivity. We didn't expect people have reached out to some of the speakers and said, hey, do you want to kind of comment on this article, or do you want to talk here? That's awesome. We didn't expect that. We were just like, hey, here's an excuse for us to be, spend 2 days in front of a video camera and talk. So
All right. There's a question from Chris. In science, the term early career researchers is common, and in his view or her view, is disdainful. Is it different in cybersecurity, or is BeerCon unique? Shahrukh?
I guess BeerCon was unique because the it gave a chance to rookies to speak, right? And many conferences don't give rookies a chance unless it's a really out of the box or a really, what can you say, interesting topic. But in BeerCon, if you have not spoken at any conference previously, you're allowed to be a part of it. You're allowed to come forward and speak. So it was unique.
Jer?
Yeah, I definitely think from the way that people have spoken about BeerCon is definitely unique for what it's done. A purely rookie conference. I would like to think that it'll shake up how people treat rookies moving forwards, especially if they're, if it's a disdainful term to use, call someone an early career researcher, is a bit. It even comes across that way, that they're kind of immediately putting out there that you might not have the experience that others are looking at, but you know what, it gives someone a different view we've spoken about. It would be nice to think that we'll, people will have picked something up and going, you know what, the guys were onto something here. And move forward with that as to how, it's almost like sometimes you hear that the rookie track's almost like a token effort to say, oh yeah, we have rookies, but come see our big speakers. These are all our speakers. These are the main event, and that massively with giving people confidence to go forward, and hopefully they'll be able to kind of big up their rookie tracks in future moving forward. Not that people won't want to see bigger ticket speakers, but I think it might open people up to, let's go check out the rookie tracks, because there's got to be a couple of good few gems inside there now, whereas they wouldn't have given maybe the same amount of consideration previous times.
Scott, any insights?
Yeah, I mean, just coming back to a point I made earlier, like, it was a bit of a risk, and I think that's why a lot of other conferences or groups or organizations had a rookie track buried in a bigger deal. It was quite risky. I don't know if we ran it again tomorrow. We'd get 29, 31, 30. I think we had 34 or 35 applications. 31 and 31 actually went for it. 29 actually showed up due to health reasons and other reasons. It is risky, and I think that's why a lot of people didn't do it. They were worried about taking that risk and that leap of faith. But holy balls, did it pay off, and holy balls, has it paid off more. I would pay money to go to BeerCon. I wouldn't over and no offense to any of the conferences, I no offense to them at all. They're booking good people, but I would pay good money to go to BeerCon versus one of the bigger name conferences with people that I know, purely because we're getting, again, I'm going to refer to an earlier answer, different opinions from people who have not been on the speaking circuit that I've no idea who they are, and they're coming at it from a totally different angle and talking about baby shark toilets. I'm like, whoa, holy shit, where did that come from? That's cool. That's worth its weight in gold to me.
Okay. There's a question about GDPR.
You can have this one.
Yeah.
All right. So GDPR obviously protects European residents. You have the Data Protection Act, which has been updated to protect British residents and to act as an equivalency between the UK and the EU post-Brexit. However, any company who wishes to have European customers as a key demographic in their market segment has to be compliant with GDPR regulations. This can be in the US, Asia, Africa. You want to target European customers, you need to be compliant. If I go to Thailand and want to go buy a bamboo statue from the corner shop, that corner shop doesn't need to be compliant. I hope that answers the question. And we have okay. Looks like we've slowly run out of talks and questions. Scott, anything you want to ask the speakers?
Yeah, actually, just I have this really weird. I imagine what a talk's going to look like. So I visualize like I apply for a talk or I'm asked to speak somewhere. I visualize the stage. I visualize the audience, regardless what size it is. I visualize how it's going to go. I turn up on the day and it's totally different. And I walk away from talks that I think are written really well, which have been really poorly received, or I believe they've been poorly received, and then walk away from talks that I've written on the back of a cigarette packet the night before, and then it's been incredibly well received, just the content wise. It's been the right audience at the right time. Doing that virtually though, I've done maybe 2 virtual talks since lockdown. That is terrifying. I know the question was asked, would you do a live in-person conference? But to all of you, did it make a difference? Did you look at any of the Twitch numbers, like how many people were watching, and did that impact it? Or did it genuinely just feel as if you were in a room like this, just talking to us, and it just happened to have a live stream? And just randomly, one of you jump in first.
I did look at the Twitch numbers, but at the same point, it still just felt like I was chatting to the beer farmers. It was quite easy because the kind of the build up and how relaxed the actual atmosphere was when it was ready to stream. That it was just a case of it is just a small room that was easy to convince yourselves to not think about the fact that at the point it was speaking, I think it was like just about 65, 70 people on Twitch watching as well. I was just thinking, no, it's just the 4 lads in the room. It's fine.
So I was the second speaker on the Thursday. So I caught the very beginning of Zach's talk on D&D and DevOps. And I saw that he was getting close to 100 watchers shortly before I closed the Twitch and focused on joining the Zoom meeting and only having one screen on at the time.
Yeah, I also didn't look at any Twitch numbers because firstly, I had a time constraint because I had to do a demo as well. And secondly, I knew if I looked at Twitch and saw how this much amount of people watching me, I would have screwed up. So I didn't look at Twitch numbers. I just went on with my talk and that's it.
There's a question here about if data breaches happen and the company is silent about it, why can't they keep it low instead of telling everyone about it and getting ruined? I think maybe Gerard, you might have some insights into this.
I'm trying to wrap my head around that. I think everyone does. They kind of have to come forward with regard to data breach and actually be honest about it. There's nothing worse than being seen to be burying information. It's a PR nightmare for a company to get caught that way. It's as bad as it sounds for the company to come forward and say, "Well, we've been breached." It's certainly worse that they've gone, no, there's been no breach, and then someone goes, well, we've got proof here, and that definitely, I think that it leads to more ruin in the long run, than it does, just coming straight forward and being like, this has happened, we're trying to solve it, and we are really sorry, because at the end of the day, I don't think anyone's going to come out and say, we're not sorry, there's been a data breach, we didn't prepare for it. They'll always come out and say, no, we're sorry, we thought we had it, we don't, we're just going to work on it.
Shahrukh, any insights? into why a
Yeah,
company might want to disclose this?
uh, I honestly don't get it why companies do not disclose that they've been breached, because honestly, if you disclose it, then users might take actions to secure themselves. And if you're not disclosing it, you cannot. There's no uncertainty or proof of whether the company has been breached or not. Like for instance, I recently heard of a database getting leaked of one of our local airlines here, and there is nothing in the news on the social. It's all only on Twitter, and nothing in the government has been highlighted. Nothing on in our local community has been highlighted about it, and people are only asking that, is this for real? Has this really happened? Do we have to take actions? I mean, why not go on disclosing that you've been breached?
I'm going to add that if a breach is made public, there's going to be an investigation to the company. And if it's found that you were aware of this and did not disclose it, the fines are going to be astronomically worse than what you might get if you actually make a disclosure. If you make a disclosure, you can hope to get some support in finding appropriate teams for the forensics and incident response. There's a question or a comment. Did you guys watch your talk after the fact to see the reactions in real time?
Yeah, I did.
And your reactions to that?
I mean, I was watching my talk just to see that what mistakes have I done for future reference. And I honestly looked at the chat and was really very amazed of how people were supporting my live demo and liking it. And and I was really confident that I had done a very good job.
And Jer?
No, I I finished my talk, went out for a walk, and came back and just continued doing the stuff in the green room with the speakers for the rest of the day. I think I left it a couple of days before watching my talk back because I've never done that before, so it was a bit surreal to, like, even when I was practicing, I wasn't looking at myself at any point. So I left it a little bit, and then I rewatched it back with my wife a couple of days later. Just to see, but it was getting quite nice feedback from people throughout. So after doing the talk, so it was quite nice. That kind of gave me the confidence to go, right. I can sit and actually just watch myself and critique myself as I go along and see the reactions and stuff. But because I think at one point when I was talking through my story, I think Scott and Sean started laughing and they popped up on my screen because they were laughing. And I thought, right, I need to keep looking at my slides. I cannot break focus here, otherwise I'll start to giggle as well, and then it'll all go to places.
Scott, obviously you saw the talks at least 3 times, once live, once preparing to upload to YouTube, and once uploaded. Were you and the beer farmers involved in a lot of moderation on the live stream?
No, so we drafted in 2 conscripts or 3 or 4 conscripts, I think, on the day. James, Jer, Leonard, and Dave Mack to help us with moderation of the Twitch chat or anything like that. And there was a bit of a worry. So we initially, the OBS overlays that I designed had a space for the chat box. So I thought, oh, it'd be nice if you're watching back your video to see what people are saying. But there was a bit of a discussion that people online are shit. And there's probably someone out there that's going to say some really random comment or something that's taken out of context, or we have a long running joke about Pakistan customs. It's funny if you know the context to that, but if you see that out of context, you might, and it adds nothing to the talk. It's people talking at the same time as a talk is going on, vaguely loosely related. So we decided to remove that because we thought, people will be a bit weird. Someone's going to say something about, my hair, or someone's accent. There's going to be something. There wasn't anything. So there was very little for us to moderate. I think there was one person that got the wrong end of the stick about one talk, and DM'd them, and they were like, oh yeah, sorry, I got the wrong end of the stick. It's all good. That was it. So there was no moderation. There was nothing we had to clean up later. Nothing we thought, oh God, this is going to be annoying. Nothing. And by the way, just as a point on the talks, the fact that I did see them 3 times, I saw them live, and then I had to edit them and then upload them. The night I was editing them, so I was editing them the night of each night conference. The end of the day of the conference, we would download the 10-hour long video clip. I would then edit that, then put them in a upload folder to go to YouTube, but we double check them and put the title cards at the start and the end. I've edited a crap ton of video, and usually I watch like 10 seconds of it just to get my bearings. The amount of times I found myself like clicking on halfway through like your talk one and just being like, this is really interesting, and actually finding myself getting back into the talk and really enjoying it and going, oh no, wait, I need to be editing this, right? Come on, pull yourself out. Every single one was like that. Every single talk, it was just great to like put it on, drop it in. Right, I need to trim this. I'll watch 2 minutes before it hits the end, and then I'll watch 2 minutes before that. Oh, let me rewatch the bit where Mick LeBraid plays his song, or let me rewatch the bit where Parker pulls out a sax, or Viv talking about the IPv6 stuff, which I still think is spooky voodoo, but it was explained to me in an amazing way, so I actually got it. I ended up just going back and watching bits of everyone's talks and had a little highlight reel myself, so that was nice. So thank you to every single one of you. It's your fault, I guess, but yeah.
No, Scott made us do it. It's definitely your fault. The amount of speakers who come on to go, yeah, Scott made me do it. Scott made me do it. I'm talking to Scott. Scott made me do it.
I'm just really good at just shouting at people on Twitter, as everybody knows, and until they say yes or block me. So nobody blocked me. Well, one person did, but that's another story. But no, everybody came along when they were asked. There was a couple of people that I tweeted or DM'd and said, hey, you should totally submit a talk. And they did the exact same. Every single one of you had the same conversation with me at some point going, yeah, I don't know what to speak about. Like, just come up with something. You've got insight. I don't know whether this is good enough. You delivered it. You delivered an amazing talk. So, yeah, everybody was excellent. Yeah, really, I'm really proud of everybody. Like, I'm still buzzing about it now. That's how good it is for me.
I think there's a crucial question here in the chat. Ooh. And they're asking if the only moderation was Marmite. Jer, your inputs?
Yeah, I can confirm the only moderation that we put in on the Twitch chat was various Marmite terms, which was also on the Slack as well, that just kept us amused. But yeah, that was pretty much the only moderation we needed to do, which made life really easy for us as well, because I think a lot of us were kind of gooning for the first time, or kind of early days anyway. That was only the second time I'd ever helped out at a conference, and it was good. It did make life just so much easier when everyone involved was just rooting for the speakers. So there was nothing to worry about other than the Marmite chat getting out of hand. But that even made people laugh, and they just kind of left it from there without even that getting out of hand. They just kind of went back to, all right, that's funny. We'll go back and listen to the speaker.
Shahrukh, your experience with the moderation?
I have not been part of any moderation, but I want to know what's the hate all about for Marmite.
So Marmite is a delicious spread. It's excellent on toast and butter. And if you're really cool like Vix, you have the Swiss stuff, which is new and improved and tastes better.
Oh dear.
There is something incredibly wrong with all of you. So Marmite's one of these things, you either love it or hate it. 10 guesses which camp I fit into. But I did try it once on Happier Live, and I can still taste it, and this was at least 6 months ago. But yeah, Marmite is a lie, and it came from the pit of hell itself. But no, I think that's about 8:10. We are still live streaming to LinkedIn. I'm going to message James just now and get him to kill that. But as James is not here, I just want to say thank you on behalf of Coffeehouse, I guess, for giving up your time and coming along. This is cool. Like, I've never been involved in a conference where people are still willing to talk about said conference and other people at the conference, even 4 weeks later. So, thank you guys.
Cool. We'll attempt to kill the stream. Then there is an option there that was talking to Van about the stop live stream. So we'll see if that works, so that James LinkedIn doesn't have a 3 hour Yeah,